In the last two sessions, we talked about the segmental features, vowels and consonants. And we also mentioned that the speech continuum or the spoken medium comprises certain features which are known as suprasegmental features. In addition to the segmental features, which are vowels and consonants, we also have suprasegmental features like stress, rhythm and intonation, which are also part of the spoken medium. Now, we will see this one of the features now, that is stress. Speech continuum comprises all these features together. Speech is not complete by stringing together vowels and consonants, but also by superimposing certain other elements or certain other features which we call suprasegmental features. Let us take up one of these features now. This is generally known as stress. In a general sense, this is also known as accent. And we say in a particular word, a particular syllable is stressed or accented. And we see this very clearly in dictionaries. When you open any dictionary of English, if you look up any word of more than one syllable, you invariably see a mark like this on a particular syllable of that word. What does this mean? It simply means that in this word, which is accent, there are two syllables in this word, and the stress is on the first syllable of this word. And this is marked invariably on all words of more than one syllable in all dictionaries of English. And this is a point for us to note very clearly, that this is a part of the phonological property of an English word. An English word is not complete just by stringing together vowels and consonants, and only by making one of the syllables stand out from others, or one of the syllables stressed or accented. Take for example another word like selection in English. If you look up this word in the dictionary for this word, you will notice that the stress mark is on this syllable. What does this mean? It simply means that in this word, out of the three syllables, which are si, lek and shin, this syllable, the second syllable, has to stand out from the other syllables. In other words, you have to say this syllable louder than the others. So you say it like this: selection. Can you hear that the syllable lek is highlighted here? It's made much louder compared to the other two syllables. Selection. It is not selection. If I say that, I have made the first syllable stand out from the others, which is a wrong pronunciation. So we have to say selection. And this is an important part of English. And research conducted has shown that if you stress the syllable correctly when you pronounce the word in English, you have a greater chance of being understood by others easily than when you stress it wrongly or don't stress it at all. And many Indian speakers, not knowing this, they do not stress the words correctly because they are not aware of this. But it is a very important principle for us to keep in mind. And if you don't know which syllable in a word is stressed, you have to go to the dictionary, open the dictionary, find out where the stress is put, and make that syllable stand out from others. It should be made much louder compared to other words. Now the question that arises is, do you mean to say every time we want to say a word we have to go to the dictionary? Yes, there is no other alternative. When you want to know the meaning of a particular English word, you have to go to the dictionary, find it out. Same is the case with word stress also. However, if you know if the word belongs to a particular pattern of English, then you can predict which syllable is stressed. For instance, we have what is known as shun words in English, words ending in tion. For example, this word itself ends in tion. The rule is, if a word ends in tion, the syllable immediately coming before shun is stressed. That is the rule. So, in this word, the syllable immediately coming before shun is lek. So, lek is stressed. So, we say selection, and this rule is universal. It applies to all words of English without exception. Selection or examination. Look at the word examination. If you see that there are 5 syllables in this word, exa, me, ne, and then shan. If you look up the dictionary, it marks the primary accent or the stress mark here on this syllable, because this is the syllable which comes just before shan. So, we pronounce it like this: examination. It is not examination, it is not examination, but it is examination, is a botheration, and so on. All words ending in shan have this pattern. You see what a difference it makes when you put the stress on the right syllable, and how correctly and how pleasantly it sounds compared to when you put the stress on the wrong syllable. And not only this, even words ending in ion or words ending in ian, the rule is the same. The syllable immediately preceding these endings gets the stress in English. And then we have words ending in ik, ickle, and ickly. If you have words with these endings, the rule is again the same. The syllable immediately preceding these endings gets stress. Let's take, for example, a simple word like 3 syllables, specific, and the rule is the syllable immediately preceding ik is stress. Therefore, we say specific. When we say that, we highlight this syllable, specific, and characteristic, and so on. It applies to all words of this, or even if it ends in ickly, political. When we say political, before ickle, it is li, and therefore we say political, and so on. The same thing applies for ickly also. Now, there is another rule where if the words end in ity, let us say, if the word ends in ity, the rule is the third syllable from the end gets stressed in such words. Take, for example, a simple word you are familiar with, 5 syllables, university, and ity is the suffix, and therefore, the syllable immediately preceding it is ver, and therefore, we say university. The highlighting is on this syllable. University, I study in a university. It is not university, it is not university, but it is university. This ver has to be highlighted. And similarly, take another word ending in ity, third syllable from the end, nobility, or very commonly mispronounced word, same rule applies here, third syllable from the end. So, the right way of pronouncing this word is ability, not ability. When you say ability, the stress is on the first syllable, but it is ability. When you stress this syllable, this vowel gets weakened, and so ability, facility, responsibility, advisability, and so on. Let's take another word ending, words ending in ate, ate. The rule is the same here also. The third syllable from the end gets the stress. Let's take a word like 4 syllables in this word, participate. Applying the rule, third syllable from the end, 1, 2, 3. So we say participate. It is not participate, but it is participate. And remember, when we stress this syllable, because the t occurs in the initial positions of the stress syllable here, it gets aspirated. So we say t, participate. And similarly, it applies to all words ending in ate, educate, emancipate, and so on. In words ending in self, the stress is on stress itself. So if you have this, the way it is pronounced is myself. You see, myself. It is not myself, but it is myself, yourself. I blame myself for this. You blame yourself for that. They blame themselves for that. The stress is on self itself in words ending in self. And then we have another pattern of words ending in double E. If a word ends in double E, the stress is on the last syllable of this word. For instance, a commonly used word, 3 syllables, employee, the stress is on the last syllable, and therefore we pronounce it employee, nominee, referee, and so on. We have another pattern of words ending in QUE, and this is, let us take 2 syllables in this word, you and Nick. The stress is on the last syllable in words like this. So the way of pronouncing it correctly is unique. It is not unique, but it is unique. And many people mispronounce this word, and in many situations they sometimes they say it is a unique opportunity for me. It is neither unique nor is it opportunity. Opportunity comes under this rule, so it is opportunity, not opportunity, and therefore unique opportunity. It is a unique opportunity to me to honor the guest here, and so on and so forth, which we have to keep in mind. Particularly for students of science and technology, there are certain patterns of words which have come from Greek origin. For example, words ending in logy, let us say. And this is a very important thing for many Indian students who study a subject without being able to pronounce that subject correctly. For instance, a subject like this. When you have the suffix logy, the syllable immediately preceding logy will be stressed. That's the rule. You highlight that syllable, and therefore you say psychology. You see, psychology. It is not psychology. It is not psychology, but it is psychology, and it applies to all words ending in logy. Psychology, biology, ophthalmology, helminthology, phonology, and same is the case with words ending in graphy. The same rule applies. The syllable immediately preceding graphy is stressed. Let's take, for example, geography or biography, lexicography, and so on. the syllable immediately preceding gr is o. So, geography, biography, lexicography, calligraphy, and so on. This is another thing which you have to keep in mind, because many students, not knowing this, can't even pronounce the subject that they are graduating in. And then we have certain other minor patterns, which probably if you look up certain books of phonetics, like Gimson's Introduction to the Pronunciation of English, you can get some of these patterns. The important thing to keep in mind is word stress is very important in English. The difference between English and Indian languages is, while in Indian languages the stress doesn't operate at phonological level, in English it does. And that's the reason why, if you look up any dictionary of English, the stress mark is there invariably on all words of more than one syllable. But that is not the case with dictionaries of Indian languages. That's the difference. And moreover, stress also is important in English, because the rhythm of English depends upon the succession of stresses in connected speech. We'll see that in the next session. And then another reason is, for intelligibility, it is found out that if you stress the right syllable of a particular word, you have more chances of being understood correctly by the listener. And then there is another reason why stress is important in English. There is a set of 40 words in English where if you shift the stress from one syllable to the other, the grammatical function of that word changes. Take for example a word like insult. When you use this word as a noun, the stress is on the first syllable. When you use this word as a verb, the stress is on the second syllable. So, for example, if I say, this is an insult to me, I stress the first syllable of this word, in. This is an insult to me. But if you want to use this word as a verb, I don't want to insult you. I don't want to insult you. Stress is on the second syllable, because it is used as a verb in this context. So, there is a list of about 40 words in English where such a thing takes place. And therefore, you must know to what use you have put the word by putting the stress on the right syllable. Take for example a word like produce. Stress on the first syllable, used as a noun. Produce. Stress on the second syllable, used as a verb. Record. Stress on the first syllable as a noun. Record. Stress on the second syllable, used as a verb. Conduct. Stress on the first syllable, used as a noun. Conduct. Stress on the second syllable, used as a verb. So, this is another reason why stress is important in English. When you are using with a particular grammatical status, then you must put the stress on that syllable. Otherwise, distortion takes place, distortion of meaning and confusion. These are the reasons why stress is important for us in English. Word stress is very important. Whenever we have a doubt about which syllable in a particular word is stressed, we have to go to the dictionary, find out where the stress is, and say it accordingly in our speech. And this is one of the main differences between English language and Indian languages. We have to pay attention to this. Let's look at a few more patterns of word endings in English and how the stress applies on words of these patterns. Let's take words ending in ETTE, words like cassette or cigarette. In all these words, the stress is on the last syllable, cigarette, cassette, and so on. Then we have words ending in meter, especially if it is an instrument of measuring something, the stress is on the syllable immediately preceding meter. And look at this word. In this word, the syllable immediately preceding meter is this, and therefore we pronounce it thermometer. Not thermometer, but thermometer, lactometer, barometer, and so on. When we use a group of words as a phrase, a noun phrase, there is a pattern of stressing a noun phrase. A noun phrase is a family of noun where the head, that is the main noun, comes at the end. It may be preceded by a number of modifiers as adjectives or determiners and so on. Example like university grants commission. This is a noun phrase. It is basically a commission. So, commission is the head word, and grants and university are modifiers which modify commission, and therefore, the head of the family has to get the highlight in this thing, and therefore, the most important accent, I will put it with a slant line, it should be on that word, and there will be another stress here and another stress here. So, the right way of pronouncing this phrase is university grants commission. Can you see how the word commission stands out from grants and university comparatively? University grants commission told me, the university grants commission gave me this fellowship. That is the right way of stressing this phrase. It is not university grants commission. Even when you abbreviate it, the pattern will be the same. The most important stress comes here, and there will be one here, there will be one here. So, we say UGC, UGC, the C gets most important stress here. It is not UGC. It is not right to say I know the UGC. It is I know the UGC. And similarly, the degree that many of us get stands for Master of Arts. The most important stress is here, and so the right way of saying it is MA. I did my MA from FLU. I did my BA from Osmania University. I did my MBBS from Goa University, and so on. So, the noun phrases in full form or in abbreviated form have this kind of stress pattern, where the important stress, most important stress comes on the head word, which is generally towards the end of this. So, when we pronounce that, putting the right stress in the right order, in the right position, gives weight and gives polish to our speech. Otherwise, the meaning gets a little distorted, and people may confuse about what we are saying. So, this is another aspect we have to keep in mind when we speak English. Not only our word stress, but also our phrase stress, whether it is noun phrase or even verb phrase. In the verb phrase also, the main verb generally gets the main stress compared to the auxiliary verbs, etc. And this aspect we will take up later in the next session when we talk about the sentence stress.